My slides up. Okay. Hi, everybody. Good morning. My name is Adriana Mamay, and I am a librarian at Middlesex. And the reason that I'm here joining your class today is that I'm going to show you how to find an article that you'll be using in order to complete multiple assignments from now until the end of the semester. So I'm focusing very specifically on the research that you need to do for this Psychology 123 class. But myself and my coworkers, we can help you do research in any course in which you have to find outside sources. So I'll tell you a bunch of ways that you can reach out and get help with those projects, but I'm going to be very focused on just what you need to complete during this semester of Psychology 123. These are our guidelines for today. We are going to discuss the expectations for the APA PsycINFO assignments that you'll be working on from now until the end of the semester. You are going to learn where to go to find information in order to complete the assignments. We are going to talk about search strategies for locating useful information. And most importantly, I'd like for you to gain an understanding of how you can get help moving forward. And just as a heads up, I will be asking you to chat things into the chat box. So just be prepared to type. There'll be certain parts during the session where I'll be asking you to answer a question. So just know that that will be expected of you during this session today. Okay, so you will be working on a series of assignments called the APA PsycINFO assignments. They're broken down into 4 steps. And this slide shows you steps 1 and 2, and the next slide will show you steps 3 and 4. But step 1 is today. It's the library session. It's when you meet with a librarian, and I show you how to use a tool called APA PsycINFO to search for a scholarly research article about a psychology topic. And we'll spend some time picking out that topic, and the bulk of this session will be focused on finding that article. And you'll need to locate that article today. Then on your own time after our session, you will read that article. And then in order to help you understand that article, you will complete step 2, which is the article dissection worksheet. And this is something that your professor will provide for you. It's probably already posted on Canvas if you wanted to get a sense of what the worksheet entailed. But the article dissection worksheet is meant to help you evaluate the article that you find. So you're finding this scholarly article about your topic. It's going to be pretty lengthy. There'll be many different components to it. It'll be a little bit complicated to understand. And so this article dissection worksheet is a graphic organizer that's helping you summarize all of the different parts of the article. And the real purpose of this worksheet is to help prepare you for steps 2, 3, and 4. So step 3 is the literature review paper. And in the literature review paper, you're writing a 3-page paper that reviews the article that you find today, in addition to a second article that you'll find on your own a little bit later in the semester about a similar topic. And so in this 3-page paper, you're essentially comparing and contrasting the 2 articles. What is this research telling me about my topic that I didn't know about before? What have these 2 articles discovered about my topic? Why is this important? What are the combined results of these 2 articles? So that's a 3-page paper. And then step 4, it happens at the very end of the semester. And it's a slide presentation that summarizes the 2 articles that you've selected. So it's basically a visual version of the literature review paper. So you're going to discuss all of the different components of the articles within that slide presentation, including the introduction, the methods, the result, and conclusion. And all together, the article dissection worksheet from step 2, the literature review paper from step 3, and the slide presentation from step 4, all together, those 3 assignments amount to 30% of your final grade for this Psychology 123 class. So in order to successfully complete Psychology 123, you need to successfully complete these 3 assignments. And you can't finish these 3 assignments without finding the article that I'm going to help you find today. So that is the purpose of our session. That's why I'm joining you. I am going to help you find this article that you are then going to use in order to complete the article dissection worksheet, literature review paper, and the slide presentation throughout the remainder of the semester. Are there any questions about those assignments? Anything that I can clarify further before we move on?
No, but I just want to remind my students that if you go to week 5 in Canvas and scroll down, you will see a copy of the article dissection worksheet. As we talked about in class last week, on Thursday, we will be working together to work on this worksheet. So really make sure that you pay attention today so that we can find at least your first article or get on that track to find your first article, because on Thursday we'll find your second article and then go through those dissection worksheets together. So thank you.
Perfect. Yep, so that's great. So that's your link between today and the remainder of the semester. Okay, so now we are going to talk about selecting a topic for your article. And I'm going to stop sharing my PowerPoint and I'm going to pull up a worksheet instead. And up on the screen, you should see a list of 15 bulleted topics. So they're broken down into 5 sections, 5 pillars, but then you have 3 bullets underneath each section. And I would like for you to read through these 15 topics right now and select one topic that interests you the very most of all of these, and then type that one topic into the chat box. And when you type it into the chat box, make sure that you're sending it to everybody, not just to your professor. And please write out the entire question as you see it. So how can we avoid peer pressure? Or what are false memories? Or how can you decrease your stress? So right now what you're doing is reading through this list of 15 topics. You're choosing the topic that interests you the very most, and then you are typing that topic into the chat box so that everybody can see it.
Oh, the false memories one seems to be pretty popular. How does music impacting learning? Yeah.
This is great. Thank you, everybody. I think we're missing about 5 people. So if you haven't selected your topic yet, please go ahead and type that into the chat box. Definitely some overlaps, and that's fine. It's okay for you and someone else in your class to have the same topic. Great. Okay, so we are going to initially focus on this topic that you typed into the chat box. That's the one that you are going to start with trying to find an article about. But the reason we give you so many options is that you might discover that once you locate an article about this topic, the topic isn't exactly what you expected it to be, or it doesn't hold your interest. And you do want to make sure that you're selecting a topic that you have a genuine interest in, that you'd really like to learn more about. And that's because of all of these assignments that you'll be working on for the duration of the semester. You'll be thinking about this topic and using the article that you find about this topic for quite some time. So you want to make sure that you're selecting a topic that works for you, that you do want to learn more about, that you have a genuine interest in. And so once you start seeing what articles are out there about your topic, if you're not liking it, you don't think it's the topic that you want to stick with, you have all of these other options on the screen. And Professor, do they have a copy of this in Canvas, of this handout that I have on the screen?
I believe so. Let me just double check.
Yes, because I can always send it to you if they don't.
Yeah, I thought they did. I could
Okay.
be wrong. I
Oh,
don't
we
want
have
to.
it. Oh, Kylie says that you have it.
Yes, yep, I see it right here. Yep.
Okay, great. Yeah. So if you feel that you need to switch your topic and you need to be reminded of what the topics are, you have this worksheet and you're able to choose another one. So don't feel like you're suffering with the topic. If you're really not liking it, if it's not pulling up the types of articles that engage you, go ahead and change your topic. But I'm going to just highlight the other parts of this handout here. So, excuse me, question 1 asks you to list the headlines that you find interesting, and you already did that by typing a headline into the chat box, so thank you for doing that. Question 2 says, what are some keywords that you can use to help you find this headline? So when we look for articles, we are not going to type in the entire question as you just typed it in right now in the chat box. Instead, what you're going to do is type in different keywords or different terms that are related to your topic. And so question 2 says, what are some keywords that you can use? And so initially, when you're thinking about keywords, what you first want to do is reread the topic that you just typed into the chat box and then pull out the main ideas of your topic, the main things that your topic is about. And those then become your keywords. So I see that a few of you selected the topic of how does social media impact our relationships. So the keywords for that topic would be social media and relationships, and you might even choose to put impact in there. So we're leaving behind all the little words. You don't want how or does or our or the or at or. Keywords are the heart of your topic. But keywords aren't only the words that are provided to you in your topic. They are also synonyms or other ways to say those words or examples of those words. So if we stick with that topic of how does social media impact our relationships, we can think about different forms of social media that you might want to focus on. So instead of looking at social media broadly, you could choose to look at how Instagram impacts relationships or how TikTok impacts relationships. And those options you would write down under question number 2 as other potential keywords. And the word relationships at first seems very straightforward as a keyword, but relationships encompass a lot of different things. A relationship can be a friendship. It can be a romantic relationship. It can be a family relationship, so a sibling relationship or a parent-child relationships. So relationships mean many different things. And so you might choose to look at a specific aspect of relationships. So instead of trying to find an article that answers the question, how does social media impact our relationships? You could choose to look at an article that talks about how Instagram can impact a friendship. And that's fine. So I would like for you to look at your topic and think about a way that you might make the topic a little bit more targeted, a little bit more interesting, a little bit more your own, personalize it. So I'll use another example. A few of you selected how do eating and exercise habits impact our mental health. You could certainly look at it very generally, but you could also choose to focus in on a specific type of eating habit or exercise habit. So you could choose to look at how yoga impacts our mental health, or how veganism impacts our mental health, or how cardio impacts our mental health. And all of those potential options are keywords that you would write down under number 2. Does anybody need some help figuring out what their keyword should be or how they might tailor their topic? Another topic that I think you should consider tailoring are those of you who selected how do people become addicted to drugs. I think that you all know, or I hope that you know, that the path to addiction really varies depending upon the substance that we're talking about. So you could look at drugs in general, but you might want to decide to focus on a specific substance. So how do people become addicted to alcohol, or how do people become addicted to opioids? And then you could also choose to look at a specific population group. So how do college students become addicted to drugs? Or how does someone who's been in a traumatic car accident and been prescribed opioids become addicted to drugs? So don't be afraid to personalize your topic. Does that make sense to everybody? Good. I'm glad it makes sense to your professor. Okay, good. We have a few more people too. Okay, so let's go through the remainder of the worksheet here. Number 3 says email the article to yourself. So once I help you find the article, you will absolutely want to email it to yourself because you'll need to have access to it for all of the assignments going forward. 4 tells you start looking for a second article. So I know that I'm going to have you focus on looking for one article here today, but like your professor said, you'll need to find a second one and you'll be working on that on Thursday. So while you have everything up on your screen, you might as well start looking for a second one. You will then email that second one to yourself as well. And then in preparation for that literature review paper and for the presentation, you'll start thinking about the similarities and the differences between the two articles. Are there any questions about this worksheet or anything I have mentioned as of yet? Okay, I'm going to pull up my PowerPoint, go back to where we left off. Okay, so for a while now, I've been talking about the fact that you're going to find your article. And I keep mentioning these articles. I've said that word probably 50 times so far. But now we're going to get to the part of the presentation where you are going to start searching for your articles. So I'm going to walk you through these steps, step by step, and I'll show you what you should be doing up on my screen. And then if you're able, I would like for you to open up a browser on your own screens and follow along with the steps with me. So I'm going to set you up. I'm going to describe where I would like for you to click and what you should be doing. I'll point out some other things along the way as well. And then if you're able, please open up a browser and go ahead and do that along with me. So when you open up a browser, I would like for you firstly to get to Middlesex's homepage. So your current homepage looks a little bit different than the screenshot of the homepage that I have on this PowerPoint. Yours, I think, has 3 students right now, and it says find your path. But you'll want to start at the Middlesex College homepage. And once you are on our school's homepage, in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see that it says menu. So go ahead and click on menu. And then when you click on menu, you'll scroll down all the way to the bottom. And when you scroll to the bottom, it'll say library. And I would like for you to go ahead and click on library. And when you click on library, it will bring you to the library's homepage. And when you get to the library's homepage, when you get to the part of the website that says library services, and then there's a picture of the building to the right of that, in the chat box, I would like you to type here. Don't click on anything else after that. Just get to the library's homepage. Pause there for a second. Don't click on anything else. When you get to the library's homepage, type here into the chat box. And it should say library services with a picture of the library at the top. If you need me to repeat how it got here, please let me know. Sure. So if you can find yourself, Samara, at the school's homepage, the Middlesex College's homepage, in the upper right-hand corner, it'll say menu. And you can click on menu and scroll down to the bottom. And when you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see that it says library. You're going to click on library and you'll be on the library's homepage. Okay. Now, let me log into something so I can show you. So right now, in the lower right-hand corner of your screen, does it say chat not available? Like a little box that says chat not available? Let me know if you see like this tiny little sliver of a box. Yes, okay. Let me log into the chat because I want you to see what it looks like when it's logged. Okay, so now I'm logged in and you should see a yellow box that's popped open that says Library and Tutoring Services Help. Do you see that box now? Okay, so I want everybody to look at that box. So look at that yellow chat box. It says Library and Tutoring Services Help. It's in the lower right-hand corner of the library's homepage. So this yellow chat box is staffed by myself right now, but myself and my coworkers normally. So the library itself doesn't open until 8 o'clock, which is why that wasn't available to you. But now that I'm logged in, you can see it there. So that yellow chat box is staffed by the librarians at Middlesex. And that chat box is a place you can go to ask any questions that you have relating to the library. Oh, Renaud, so you don't see it. You might want to refresh your screen because I opened it while you had the page up. So if you can just refresh the library's screen, or the library's homepage, you should see in the lower right-hand corner a yellow box that says Library and Tutoring Services Help. And then it says type here to chat. Let me know if that helps. So if you have questions about finding your sources, about citing your sources, you can ask it in that chat box. You can also ask if we have a copy of your biology textbook because you didn't purchase one this semester. We do have several copies of textbooks on reserve at the library, which means you'd be able to use them within the library building if you don't have your own copy. If you would like to know if there is a math tutor that can help you tomorrow at 2 o'clock because you're having trouble with math, you can ask it in that chat box. So any question that you have, you can ask in that box and we'll answer it for you. If the box is open, that means the library is open and there is somebody who can answer your questions. So I wanted to make sure that you saw where that chat box was, you know where that chat box is. That box is going to follow us as we click through different parts of the website because we want to make sure that it's very, very obvious to you where you can go to get additional help. So now if you focus back on the rest of the homepage, you'll see that the library's website is broken up into 4 sections: search and find, get help, visit and study, and I'm missing one. Who can help me out? I'm not looking at the live website. Search and find, get help, visit and study, and then what's that 4th category? Borrow and request. Thank you, Angie. Okay, yes. So we have the 4 sections of the library's website right there. And I want you to find the search and find section, the first one that's there. And in the search and find section, in the first bullet, type data, or I'm sorry, in the first line, click on databases, articles, and facts. So in the search and find section, you're clicking on databases, articles, and facts. And I mentioned that we're going to use a tool to help you find your articles. And that tool is called a database. But what is a database? What does that word mean? Who can tell us? What is a database? What does that word mean? If it's easier to unmute and talk it out versus type it out, then you can certainly do that.
I believe it's like something that has to do with a lot of information. It's something you can kind of like search up, and it just gives you like a whole bunch of information.
Yes, that's perfect. That's exactly what it is. So a database is just a collection of information. It's a place you go to find information. That's it. And so I know the term sounds very, very intimidating or very specialized, but a database just means a collection of information, place you go to find information. So you are going to be searching within a database to find your articles, but you can't just use any article that the database provides to you. You need to make sure that your article is peer reviewed. So that's a very specific type of article, a peer reviewed article. So what does that mean? Who knows what peer review is? Any guesses? If it's easier to unmute, sometimes it's harder to type things out than it is to just talk it through. Oh, what is peer review?
It's like reviewed by someone else in your class.
Okay. Thank you, Raf. Okay. Oh, and Professor was reminding you that you did talk about this in Thursday's class. So, and then Karina said it's been reviewed and checked by experts. So you're both correct. So Raf, in a classroom setting, let's say in an English class, for example, peer review means that you write a draft, your classmate writes a draft, and then you swap your work. You read each other's work, you give each other suggestions, you swap back, and you might incorporate their suggestions into your final product. So that is certainly what peer review is when you're in the classroom setting. But when we're talking about scholarly articles that are written by experts, what peer review means is that it's reviewed by additional experts before it's ever published and made available to us. So researchers, psychologists, they study this field, they know about this field, but just because they're experts in this field doesn't mean that whatever they write up automatically gets published. It has to undergo this process where other experts will check it. And those experts are making sure that the original authors followed the correct protocol, that they looked at articles that came before theirs, that their article follows a certain structure. And then when all of those reviewers think, yeah, this is good enough, then it's finally published and made available to us. So the good news about peer review is that it's an extra layer of protection. Your article was written by experts, but then it was reviewed by additional experts before you ever lay eyes on it. So when your professors want you to use peer-reviewed sources, they're not trying to be challenging or make your life difficult. They just want to make sure that you're looking at sources that are worth your time. And with an assignment or a series of assignments such as this, where you have to do so many things with the one article that you find, it makes sense that you use the very best information that's out there about your topic. And a peer-reviewed article is one way to ensure that. Does everybody understand that? Okay, perfect. Okay, so I had you click on databases, articles and facts in that search and find section. And now when you click on that, you should get to a page that looks like this, the databases homepage. So this is the launching point from which you can access all of the different databases that we subscribe to at Middlesex. So we at Middlesex are subscribing to a ton of different databases on your behalf. So when I say that we're subscribing to them, what are we doing? How are we gaining access on your behalf? What do I have to do? Think about things that you subscribe to. Before you have access to all of that content, what do you have to do?
You sometimes have to pay.
Yes, perfect, Samara. You have to pay. So you can think of databases kind of like different streaming services. So if you'd like to watch something on Netflix, you have to sign up for Netflix, but then you have to pay for Netflix. And once you pay for it, you have access to all of that content. But you only have access to the content that Netflix has available. So if you want to watch something on Hulu, that means that you have to sign up for that. You have to pay for that, and then you have access to all of Hulu's content. And then you might do it again for Apple TV or Disney Plus or HBO or whatever streaming service you're interested in. And databases work in the same way. So we at the library subscribe to about 80 different databases on your behalf. So you are not being asked to pay for anything. We've already paid for it for you. And each of the different databases has a certain subject or certain topic that it specializes in. And that's why we have to subscribe and pay for so many of them, because you all will be finding sources about so many different topics while you're at Middlesex. And we need to make sure that we have a database for every one of your research needs. So it's good news that we subscribe to so many databases, but what can be very challenging is figuring out which database you should be using for which class and which assignment. But for the purposes of this assignment and this class, this part will be very easy for you because we're telling you which database to use. So you'll notice when you're on the databases page that there is a box that says other useful databases. And underneath that other useful databases box, the first database that's listed is called APA PsycINFO. And that's the database, the one and only database that you're going to be using to find your articles. So the assignments are called the APA PsycINFO assignments. That might have given you a hint as to which database you'd be using, but APA PsycINFO is the one and only database you're using. You can go ahead and click on APA PsycINFO under other useful databases, and a page might come up asking you to log in. If you are asked to log in, you're just going to use the same Middlesex College email address and password that you use for Outlook and Canvas. So if you are stopped and it's asking you to log in, please use that same email address and password. And then once you've logged in to APA PsycINFO, then the database should come up. So once you are successfully logged in to the database, in the chat box, type ready. If you're having trouble logging in or it isn't working out for you, let me know. But find your way to APA PsycINFO, log in if you need to, and then hit ready. Awesome. Okay, if you haven't found your way here yet, or you're running into trouble, you're not able to log in, please let me know. So APA PsycINFO, this is the tool that you're using to help you find your articles. But if you recall, I told you that we can't just use any article available in this database. We already know the article needs to be peer reviewed, but the article also has to adhere to a few other parameters. So on my screen, you'll see different ways in which you need to set up your search options. I would suggest that you screenshot this screen or you take a picture of it because I'm going to help you set up your screen in this way right now. But when it comes time to finding that second article later on in the week, you'll need to make sure that your article adheres to the same standards. And so if you take a picture of this or screenshot it, then you'll have this as a reminder as to how you can go ahead and set up your search options. So take a picture, screenshot it now, because I'm about to stop sharing this. I'm going to pull up a browser and I'm going to do a live search with you. And I will talk you through the steps of setting up your search options. Okay, so I am going to open up a browser and I will do it with you. Everybody feel okay so far? I know it's a whole lot of information in a short amount of time, very early in the morning. Okay, so here I am, I'm in the database, just like you. And the first thing that I want you to notice is that the database is broken up into two columns. We have a left column and a right column. And so in the right column, I would like for you to look for publication year. And in the start year, you'll type in 2013. And in the end year, you'll type in 2023. So your article cannot be older than 10 years old. And so when you put in these guidelines, start year, end year, you're telling the database that you only want articles that were published between 2013 and 2023. Now, 10 years old is the limit for everybody, but you, depending upon your topic, might decide that you should have a time range that's even shorter. And so for those of you who selected a topic that has to do with social media, for example, you might choose to look at an article that was only published in the last 5 years or 3 years. And that's because an article that talks about social media from 10 years ago doesn't talk about the same platforms that you're thinking about when we think about social media. So with a topic like that, you want something that's a little bit more current. But in general, you shouldn't be using anything older than the last 10 years. Then you're going to continue scrolling down the right-hand column and you'll click on English. Articles are published in every language imaginable, but for the purposes of this assignment, you'll need to make sure that yours is in English. So go ahead and check that off. And then immediately to the left of the English checkoff box, you'll see a box that says publication type. And so then you'll highlight peer-reviewed journal in the publication type box for all of the reasons that we spoke about before. And then once you've done that in the publication type box, you'll jump back up or back over the right-hand column, and you'll find the box that says methodology. And when you click on methodology, what you're looking for is a phrase that says empirical study, and you'll want to highlight empirical study. So what does empirical study mean? Have you guys covered that in class yet? What is an empirical study? Anybody know? Did you cover
I'm
this
sorry,
yet?
can you repeat that?
Sure. What is an empirical study? Have they covered that in class yet?
I have not.
Oh, okay. That's good for you, because usually when I ask students what is an empirical study and they say they don't know, their professor says, oh, we covered it already. How come you don't remember? But in this case, that's fine because you haven't covered it yet. Anybody have any guesses? What is an empirical study? I'll help you out since you didn't learn about it yet. So an empirical study is a study that's based on evidence, an evidence-based study. So the researchers had a question, they designed an experiment to help them figure out the answer to that question. And their conclusion is based off of what they saw. So it's what they experienced, it's the evidence they collected. So it's not what somebody hopes will happen, it's not what they want to happen, it's not what they wish would happen. It's what they saw happen when they conducted the study and gathered their evidence. So that's an empirical study, and that's the type of article you need to find. So you've set up your screen. You are going to be looking for an article written in English, published in the last 10 years, that's peer-reviewed, and that's an empirical study. And so now that you've done that, you can scroll back to the top of the page, and you're looking for the search bars. And in this first search bar, after the word and, or in the first search bar, you are going to type in one word that relates to your topic. So one keyword. You don't want to type in that full question or that full sentence. You're pulling in one keyword, one term, and sometimes it can be a phrase, like bipolar disorder is a phrase, social media is a phrase. So phrases are okay, but you want to make sure that you're selecting as few words as possible, and then you hit and then you hit search. So one word, first search bar, hit search. And then when you do that, you will get a massive number of articles. So I typed in stress. I know that a few of you selected the topic of how we can decrease our stress. So I selected stress. I typed that into the first search bar. I hit search, and I have 96,918 articles that talk about stress. And I would imagine that most of you, if you only typed in one word or one phrase and you hit search, you got thousands upon thousands of articles as well. And that's fine initially because we just put in one word. But I'm not just looking for any article that talks about stress. I'm looking for an article that talks about stress as it relates to a specific population group, for example. So let's say I wanted to focus on how college students can decrease their stress. So I'm going to type in college students, so another one of my keywords or key phrases, into a second search bar after the word and now when I hit search again, my result list will go down a lot. So I had over 90,000 before, and by adding college students, I'm down to 3,800, which is still a very large number, but it's many fewer than before. And I can continue going. I can add additional keywords into additional search bars after the word and when I hit search, my result list is going to continue to get more targeted. And you'll notice to the right of the third search bar, there's a plus sign with an arrow. And so when you hit that, it gives you additional search bars. So you can add as many search bars with as many keywords as you want. And so as you add those keywords into the search bars, you are telling the database, I want articles that talk about all of these things. And so the words you use up here are going to adjust the search results that you're seeing down below. And so what you want to do is spend a good amount of time playing around with your keywords, manipulating the different terms that you're using, and seeing how your results are reflected and how they change and how they're modified based off of the words that you've put in the search bars. Okay, I've been talking a lot. So how is it going? Have any of you encountered any issues? Has anybody gotten a search result list that says 0? Has anybody been able to find articles? What are you seeing as you change those search terms? Does anybody feel like they're getting a way too large number of articles? That's too overwhelming and you need help narrowing that down? When you are typing words into the search bars, you'll notice that sometimes it'll give you suggestions within the search bars, and it's up to you whether or not you'd like to use them. The suggestions can be a great way to think of terms that you might not have thought of before, so they can be really helpful in terms of figuring out what you should write in there. But you are not obligated to use them. So if you find that they're helpful, you can go ahead. But if you find that they're too limiting or they're not what you had expected, that's fine. You can ignore them. And then another option for you as you're looking through the search results to try to make your lives a little bit easier in terms of looking through so many articles is you'll notice on the left-hand side, we have this limit to option. In the limit to option here, you can click on linked full text. And so what that means is that every single article you encounter will have a PDF full text symbol underneath it. And so when you click on that PDF full text symbol, you'll be able to see the article in its entirety. Now, what I would like for you to notice is that when you have a lot of results, don't be afraid to scroll all the way down to the bottom. See what's on the bottom of your results. See what's on page 2, what's on page 3. Any article is a useful article for the purposes of this assignment. So they aren't ranked in order of usefulness. I know that when we do Google searches, rarely do we ever look at something that's, halfway down the page or all the way at the bottom of the page. We're very used to just looking at the first few results. But this is the opposite of Google in that way. So an article that you find on page 20 can be just as interesting and useful as an article you find on page 1. So you are going to want to take a significant amount of time to look through your results, see what's there, see what looks interesting. Again, remember, you're doing a lot with this article. So don't struggle to adapt to the article. Make that article adapt to you. If you're not liking what you see, change your words, use different synonyms, use different ways to describe your topic. If you're not liking what you see and you've already done all that, then you can go back to that topic list if you like and choose another topic. Now, what I would like you to also take note of is that when you click on the title of the article, you're not seeing the entire article. What you're seeing is information about the article, including the abstract, including the summary. And so when you read that summary, you need to do two things. You need to read the summary, and that summary will help you figure out, is this actually about my topic? And does it cover my topic in a way that I like? So if you read that summary and you don't like what it's saying about your topic, you saw how many other articles are there. You don't have to stick with this one. The other thing this summary, this abstract will do is help you figure out, will I understand this article? So if you remember, we spoke about the fact that these articles are written by experts and then they're reviewed by experts too. So they are using language that experts understand, but we might not understand. So that's fine to not understand every single component of the summary and the article, but you do have to understand what these researchers were trying to figure out, how they went about figuring it out, and what their conclusions are. So if you read that summary and it's too technical, too scientific, too overwhelming, you really don't know what it's saying, you're going to struggle with reading the article in its entirety. So make sure that you can summarize the summary, that you know what's going on. But if you read that abstract, that summary, and you think, yeah, this works, I like this, I want this to be my article, then you'll scroll back up to the top to where you see the title. And to the left of the title, you'll click on PDF full text, and that's how you will get the entire article. So clicking on the title doesn't get you the whole article. You always want to look for where it says PDF full text and click on that, and that will pull you up the entire article. And another thing to take note of before you fully committed to an article is the page length. So my article here on the screen is 10 pages long. That's pretty average. I would say that most of you are going to select an article that's somewhere between like 7 and 18 pages. So be prepared for that in terms of time management. If you need to read this article, know that it's going to take you some time to do that. These aren't short articles. And then also, if you click on the article and it turns out to be 20 or 30 or 40 pages, I would suggest that you look at another article. You'll ultimately need 2 of these articles to compare for the literature review paper on the presentation. So you don't want to make things unnecessarily complicated. So if you fall in love with a 20-page article, that's okay. But if you feel like you don't feel much about a 20-page article, then go ahead and try to see if there's something that's a little bit shorter for you. Okay, any questions yet as you've been searching? Anything I can help troubleshoot? Okay, a couple other things that I wanted to mention. So when you find the article, you remember when we were working through that worksheet earlier in the class, I mentioned that you should email the article to yourself. The easiest way to email an article to yourself is to use the email tool that's located on the right-hand side of the screen. So when you click on the title of the article, to the left you have the PDF, but to the right you have tools, and one of them is email. So you're going to email it. You can also save it to your drive. So if you're logged into a Google Drive, you can do that. You can download it onto your device as well. But you definitely want to save it somehow, either email or print or download, however you would like. Okay. Vanessa says, I found an article I find interesting, but it says there's no full text in the databases. Should I just pick a new one? No. So what you can do is, I'm assuming you got to a screen that says no full text available, request it here. So you can do that. Click that request here button. You're going to log in as if you're logging into Outlook or Canvas. And then after you log in, it's going to auto-populate a form and you just hit submit request. And so that article will be emailed to you within a couple of days. And so what I think you should do is have that be your second article. Know that it'll be emailed to you in a couple of days. It's coming down the pipeline. It's, getting prepared for you. And then try to find one that you can read in its entirety today. It'll make your life a lot easier. You won't have to look for a second one later on. You know that it's coming and you will get an email notification once it's available. So some of you might encounter that where it says no article available or article not found, request it here. It's totally fine to do that. It'll just take a couple of days and then you'll get an email to your school email. Okay, another tool that I want you to take note of on the right-hand side is this Cite tool. So when you click on Cite, you're then going to scroll down to APA. And what you have is this article already properly formatted in APA format. And you need this APA citation for all three components of the assignment. You'll need it for the worksheet, the literature review paper, and the presentation. And this part of your assignment should actually be the very easiest part of your assignment because the database is doing it for you. So on the right-hand side, you have tools. You click on Cite, you scroll down until you see APA, and then you have this citation. And you could literally copy and paste this citation everywhere that it needs to go. So this is a huge perk of using a database to do your research, is that it will create citations for you and make your life a whole lot easier. Does anybody need me to repeat how I got the APA citation? Okay, so now, when you click on the title of an article, I'm going to do it with you so I can show everybody again. So you click on the title of an article. When you do that, on the right-hand side, you'll see a bunch of tools, a tools bar. And then you're clicking on the Cite tools bar and you're scrolling down to APA. And then what you have is the APA citation. Let me know if that helped. Great. Okay. Any other questions? I know that I threw a whole lot out at you in a very short amount of time. Professor, is there anything else that you wanted me to cover or mention?
No, this has been perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, everybody, I am going to type my email address into the chat box so you can email me directly if you have any questions. You have that yellow box that I showed you on the library's webpage if you want to reach out for help that way. And then if you're on campus, you could always come to the library between 8 a.m. and 7 p.m. Monday through Thursday and 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. on Fridays, and we can help you in person as well.
Thank you so much for your presentation today. We really appreciate it. This was great information.
Good. You're welcome, everybody. Good luck and have a great day, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So hopefully everyone found that really, really helpful. And my hope is that from this, we will now have the opportunity to begin to take our PsycINFO project and we will start to put this into action. So what we are going to do on Thursday, as stated earlier, is that we are going to not only look for this first article, but also our second article in case you only found one today. And we're going to start completing the article dissection worksheets. So your homework is to play around with the library website and look towards finding your 2 articles. When we come to class on Thursday with your 2 articles, we are going to then spend our class period making sure that our articles are connected in some way. Remember, for this project, we want to see if there's a relationship, which is causation, if there is a cause and effect, which is called causality, or if it helps us to better understand something from a descriptive position. So, do they complement each other? Do they say, yes, this is something that we should? One article may say, yes, this is an effective tool, and the other article proves again that this is the most effective tool that we should be using as an example. So grab your 2 articles when we come to class on Thursday, and we will spend our class time working on the article dissection worksheet. I am going to have this video up. My hope is in the next hour or so. As soon as it renders, I will make sure that it is posted on the week 5 module so that you can review it as you need to and support you in finding your paperwork, your articles, so that we can do our dissection worksheets on Thursday. So all of you have a wonderful day, and I will see you on Thursday. Thank you for your participation. I'll see you. Bye, y'all.